time is now January 1885. Mahdi's forces have finally broken into Khartoum, and they're about to fall upon the governor's palace. The British relief force is almost here. Gordon has to hold on for one last time. Fall of Berber. We receive news that the strategically important town of Berber, which is a 4-day steamer ride north of Khartoum, has fallen into Mahdist hands, and this was the last friendly outpost around. So now we're fully surrounded by the Mahdist, and city morale is now decreased by 1, and we're at the threshold of the +1 die roll modifier. And Gordon has 3 actions. Because of the house rule that we are using, Gordon cannot raid the very vulnerable Green Banner, because the Green Banner was raided in the preceding turn. The weakest banner after the Green Banner is the Red Banner, which would defend with a strength of 4 in the case that we conduct a raid against it. The strongest force we can muster for a raid would have 5 strength points plus the city morale bonus of 6, but we would have to use our full strength Sudanese unit with Ali and 1 light gun. And the downside is that those Sudanese troops would not be available for the final defense of the governor's palace. The raid against the Red Banner does not have a good probability of allowing us to learn of the Mahdi's plans, namely which banner will be activated. So we will concentrate most forces we can in the governor's palace, and we will also place forces along the path of the Black Banner to stop that banner, which is the strongest one, and any remaining forces also will be placed on the Red Banner's path. So our first of 3 actions is to increase the fortification level of 1 area. And of course that area will be the governor's palace. That spends 1 of our resource points. We're still at 19, where we incur no die roll modifier penalty. We have 2 actions left, but we will waive 1 action, and our last action, of course, will set up defensive positions. We will place the maximum number of forces we can in the governor's palace. We can place up to 4 troop units, but notice that not all of them have any modifier, any number 1 or 2 for defensive rating. So we will place full strength Egyptian, reduced strength Egyptian, and full strength Sudanese units together with a unit of Bassuks. And at the defense, the leader will be Stuart. And because we're taking 4 troop units, we can place also 4 light gun units, and that's what we will do. And finally, Khartoum borders on the Nile, so we place our 3 gunboats. And this is a massive force indeed. And our force has a total strength of 15. In the Black Banner's path, we place Nushi, some reduced strength Sudanese, and our heavy guns. Notice that the rightmost number of the heavy guns is in black. So in defensive positioning, we can place the guns anywhere. The red number in the middle is for sorties. Those heavy guns must be mounted on gunboats. In the Red Banner's path, we set up Ali, some levies, and some Bassuks in area 4. And our remaining forces will be set up in the eastern ramparts. More levies and a reduced strength Sudanese unit. And that's the end of our turn. And the Black Banner is activated. The Black Banner with a strength of 8 attacks Nushi at Fort Omdurman. And we have a strength of 6, but because city morale is high, our strength is 7. And we roll 2d6. That's an 8 plus 7, 15, minus 8, 7. That's a stalemate. That was close. We roll now for leader, troop, and gunboat losses with no modification. We start with Nushi. And Nushi is wounded, and he is placed in the wounded leader's box. We roll for the Sudanese. Roll is a 2. 2 step losses. They just have 1 step, so they are eliminated. So our forces suffered some losses, but the black banner was not able to advance. And the white banner didn't even make a move. I wonder why. Now we would return our troops to the display and check for victory conditions, and the relief force has arrived. And the Mahdi's forces are gone, and that's the end of the game with a victory for Gordon and the defenders of Khartoum. So that's the end of the game. And now we'll go to a brief epilogue and talk a little bit more about the game, especially the advanced or optional rules, and also the expansion deck of event and banner activation cards. When I decided to make this video about the game, I chose to play the basic game, believing that I would screw up the rules if I was going to play the advanced version, but after playing a few turns, I noticed that I could have jumped into the more advanced version of the game, which makes the game, of course, more difficult than what you saw here, where we were raiding with impunity the white banner. The game includes alternate rules. For example, a Gordon counter. And you can see that Gordon has a rating of 2 in raiding, sorties, and in defense. And also it has some effects on any major or outstanding success. You gain an additional city morale point, but also in a major or catastrophic failure, you lose an additional city morale point. And Gordon is hard to kill, meaning that in any result in the leader's casualties table, you roll twice and you pick the best result. Now, if Gordon is killed, the downside is that you immediately lose the game. And if Gordon is wounded, you also lose a city morale point, and 1 action point will be deducted during the next turn that he is out. The game also brings, with the alternate rules, the unpredictable levy troops rule. Here, you roll to see the ratings that the levies will use in raids or sorties, and you use these counters with the question marks. And here you see the die roll modifiers that will apply depending of your die roll. For example, if you are going to conduct a raid, you roll 1d6, and on a 2 or less, the die roll modifier is a -1, on a 3 or 4 a 0, and 5 or more a 1. So it brings more uncertainty to the use of levies in the game. And with this rule, you can use levies in sorties and raids at the risk of incurring on that negative die roll mod. There's also an enemy banner's morale rule, where if a banner is down to 1/2 of its original strength, let's say that you're playing with the advanced rule that the green banner starts with a strength of 8 and it's down to 4 strength, then you rotate its counter 180 degrees to signify that it is shaken. And the effect of being shaken is that in the case that that green banner is activated, like let's say as a result of this card, you first have to roll 1d6. And you can apply city morale and resource points die roll modifiers to increase or reduce the die roll. If the result is equal or less than the banner's current strength, the banner successfully passes the check and then can be activated. But if the result is higher, the banner does not activate. And whenever the banner recovers strength, that is above half of its original strength, let's say this banner strength goes up to 5, rotate it back to its original position, and there's no shaken penalties anymore. Then there's another rule here, Gladstone to the rescue, where we ask William Gladstone, the Prime Minister, for additional troops, and we can only do so in turns 2 and 3, and by spending an action to do that. And if we do, we have to roll on this table here, Gladstone to the rescue, and the possible results are, with a 5 or less, that he is displeased, and the next time you roll, it's with a -1 die roll modifier. 6 or 7, no effect. 8 or 9, British public opinion pressures Gladstone for action, so the next time we roll, it's with a +1, and if we're lucky and we roll 10 or more, Gladstone, threatened by a vote of confidence, finally agrees to send reinforcements, and we would roll on the optional reinforcements table, and depending on the die roll, we can receive another heavy guns unit, an Ottoman troop unit, Indian or British troop unit. All these are one-step units. So this is the only way in the game you can receive reinforcements, by using this rule. You saw in the game that we raided the white banner with impunity, and that gave us a huge advantage by being able to look at the next banner activation card before the banner was activated, and we would ambush the banner to be activated each and every time. Now, to make the game more interesting, it is recommended that you use the Lion King of Khartoum difficulty level. And what that does is that increases the starting strength levels for all the banners. The white and black banners start with 8 in the regular game. Here they would start with a strength of 10. And the red and green banners start normally with a strength of 6. Here start with a strength of 8. So that means that when you are considering raiding the white banner will defend with a strength of 5 instead of 4, making the raid, of course, more risky for us. Here we see the cards at the end of the game. These are the event cards that we encountered during the game. The deck also, of course, has more cards, like No Event, Lady Luck Smiles at You here. You roll to see how many actions you have. Parlay, which can cause like a truce. The battles of Second El Teb and Tamal. In this one, this is a no event, and you can end up with 1 action point. The Mahdi takes command. You increase here the strength of the black banner by 2, and where the white banner. Another artillery bombardment, tribal infighting, and starving civilians. So there's more events, and these are the cards that you get with the game. And here we see the banner activation cards. These, you reshuffle them every time, and we saw the green banner activating a lot in this game. There's certain cards like this one where you roll a die to see which pair of banners activate. So here we see all the possibilities. And there's an expansion deck of event and banner activation cards. Here are the event cards in the expansion deck. These are 33 cards. The game comes with 20 event cards. So here you have a myriad of events. You have another Lady Luck Smiles at You. The same ones that can repeat them. So you have a Steamer Breakout, Good News, Spy Infiltration, Fall of Berber. So you see some that repeat themselves. And this is the expansion deck, Starving Civilians, Gunboats Maintenance. We saw that one. Parlay, Counter Battery Fire, Frank Power, which increases the city morale by 1. Alliance, Gunboat Raid, 33 additional event cards, which you would mix, of course, with the regular event cards. And here are the additional banner activation cards with the expansion deck. These are 12. The game brings 12, so you would have 24. And here we see the possible results. So this is the expansion deck of additional event and banner activation cards for the Lion of Khartoum. So that's the end of this playthrough. I had a good time with the game. I wish I would have played with all the rules, alternate rules, and the difficulty level of the Lion King of Khartoum. So next time I play the game, I will do so using those rules. I like the mechanic of sending troops on raids and sorties, which departs from the traditional states of siege mechanic of just watching your enemies close in to your central position. So I'll leave you now with the musical theme that I composed for this game and images of all the previous chapters. So I hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for watching.